board is the staff that you applauded already. I won't ask them all to stand up, but there are a couple people who I want to really acknowledge. In fact, we have an annual tradition of having fan guests of honor. And our fan guest of honor this year, and they don't know this, they aren't aware of it until the second, is Jennifer Anderson and Patrick Tony. Patrick have run and or been on staff of a majority of the gatherings that have taken place over the last 12 years. This convention wouldn't exist without their hard work. They've never been eligible for fan guest of honor because they've always been on staff. And because of that, they've never really been recognized for all the hard work they did. The one true advantage to this being the last is, you know, we have this rule that staff couldn't be fan guest of honor, and I don't give a damn about the rule.
As many of you know, my friend Gary Gargoyles story editor and writer, passed away in 2003. Some of you may have met Gary at the 2001 gathering across the way over there at the University of Sheridan. I hope you did. I hope you got a chance to talk to him, or at least listen to him. He was a phenomenally intelligent, reasonable, and wonderful human being. Gary was a lawyer by training who gave up a lucrative career to do something he liked, which was write. And specifically, he wrote cartoons, a lot of cartoons, mostly for Disney TV animation, which is where Gary and I first met. A very incomplete list of the shows he worked on would include Darkwing Duck, Gargoyles, Nightmare Mad, Hercules, Buzz Lightyear, Max Steel, and Kim Possible, and that's just scratching the surface. Gary was a terrific writer and story editor and a great friend. His contributions to Gargoyles are hard to measure. He was truly a rock on the show, someone I could always count on. Listing the episodes he worked on gave you a partial idea of just how much your enjoyment of the series was based on Gary's work. He either wrote, story edited, or both. The episodes Upgrade, Protection, Heritage, Kingdom, Gollum, MIA, The New Olympians, Bushido, The Gathering Part 2, Turf, and The Reckoning. In addition, he helped co-create and develop Bad Guys and was the writer on the Bad Guys story reel, which I'll be showing in just a few minutes, assuming that you can ever shut me up. Among other things, Gary turned Brooklyn into a leader, turned Dingo into a good guy, created both the London and Ishimura clans, and set the stage for Broadway and Angela to fall in love. If any of those things helped to make you a fan, then Gary's the reason. With us tonight are Gary's wife, Mara, and his two kids, Micah and Ella. I know they miss him, but it's also clear to me that he is an ongoing and wonderful presence in their lives. I'm again hoping that most of you either have or will shortly purchase at this convention a copy of the Bad Guys trade paperback. The book is dedicated to Gary's memory, and I'd like to take this opportunity to present it and to Mara, Micah, and Ella, And also Corinne Charlebrook, who was the artist on Bad Guys, drew up something wonderful for you guys, so I'd like to give that to you. Thanks. This is Maura. And I like that. Okay. Now it's time for that horribly dull section of opening ceremonies that we call the Gargoyle Horror Picture Show. We do this for reasons that escape me, because most of you have seen all this stuff before, and and actually know pretty much exactly what I'm going to say, including even this spiel about knowing what I'm going to say. And yet, you seem to enjoy it. I can't understand why, but you know, you're strange people. And actually, we have a bunch of new people here for whom at least I think a couple of these things are brand new. So, what we generally start with is sort of a quick rundown on how the show came about. Talking about Gargoyles, you knew that, right? I've always been sort of fascinated with gargoyles. In college and high school, I collected postcards and whatever of them. It's not like I thought, hey, in 1994, I'm going to put a show on the air about these things. It's just they interested me. And in 1991, when I was executive at Disney Television Animation, my team and I started developing this series. I was working with Bob Klein, who was development art director. Bob will be here this weekend. Dave Schwartz sends his apologies, but he's not going to be able to make it. He was the other art director. And there was also Paul Felix, Paul Felix, and Greg Hooler, who I've worked with at DC Comics years before. Greg was at that time at Disney. And those four artists, a number of assistants and bosses and people participated. It was very much a team effort. I am often and frankly encouraged the notion that I'm the creator of this show, but the actual truth is that I'm taking a lot of credit for work that was done by a great many people. I'm not shy about that, but you know, it's not honest. So that was kind of supposed to be funny, but anyway, so what we had to do was put together a pitch. And in those days, the pitch was a bunch of art cards, and we developed this comedy show with a evil gargoyle named Demona, and a sort of goofy, this great pitch of this great show to Michael Eisner about 6 months after we had taken him the comedy show, and he passed again. And the next day we had a meeting with Jeffrey Katzenberg, who at the time was still at Disney and who was Michael's #2 guy, and it was what we call, the meeting is what we call the post-mortem, where we talked about what had happened in the big meeting with Michael, and the next day we would go over, okay, what are our marching orders, what do we need to do? And Michael had bought a couple of shows at that meeting, but not Gargoyle. And so we thought Gargoyles was done. And we pitched it as a comedy and it got shut down. We pitched it as an action drama, it got shut down, we thought it was over. But at the very end of that post-mortem meeting, Jeffrey stood up and looked at me and said, and you're going to work more on Gargoyles, aren't you? And my boss and I sort of looked at each other like, well, no, Michael killed it. And Jeffrey said, oh no, he didn't kill it.
He just thought it needed more work. Now, I've been pitching a lot of shows, and I know it killed when I'm